The big five American sports are all scheduled in November for the first time since November 2020, and we want to celebrate by slashing the cost of all daily packages by 50%, including 5% best bets. Starting Tuesday, November 1st through Sunday, November 7th, $25 daily packages are priced at $12.50, and $35 5% best bets are priced at $17.50. But even better, this is the perfect time to take advantage of WagerTalk's one-day all access. Lock in the handicapper of your choice for one full day for only $39, including when they have a 5% top play that normally sells for $35. But during our 50% slash promotion, you get a one-day all access for only $19.50. This special is valid through Sunday, November 7th, so save the whole week long.
Tuesday, November 2nd, Election Day. Happy Election Day, America. Teddy, make sure you vote early and often, as you always do. It's a great Tuesday, though, because it's November. And once again, it's been a full year since last November when we had every major sport going in the month of November. And that's because we do have a Game 6 in the MLB World Series tonight. We're going to get right to that in a couple minutes with Dave Cokin. Also going to look at some college football with Dave, who has just dominated college football for decades. Going to have a couple interesting games, a little bit of under-the-radar games, some MAC action, Miami of Ohio and Ohio, also UAB and Louisiana Tech, which is an actual 3% play for Dave. He's going to give that to you free on the show here today. Big news, of course, though, Dave is also the $2 capper. He's got a strong NHL best bet. So we might not get to hockey talk, but $2 Tuesday gets it done with a strong 5% NHL best bet for Dave Cokin. We're going to talk to him in just a moment. After that, Teddy, you've got a big game breakdown, NBA-style Bucks Pistons. And then Adam Trigger is going to be here to talk college basketball. Let's not forget about college basketball. 1 week from today, next Tuesday, there's about 100 games on the board. College hoop season starts. We're going to look at the Big 12 and the Big 10. We did the Pac-12 last week. He gave you an under-the-radar play-on team that you can use all season to make money against the point spread. We're going to give you two more on the show today, one in the Big 12, one in the Big 10. Play-on actionable info for your entire college basketball season, which starts a week from today. And, of course, we close it off with Dave Sharapan. What a closer. What a closer. Dave Sharapan from the Las Vegas Strip. But, for Teddy, before we get to all this loaded, packed show, what did you learn last night on Monday?
Well, I got to say first, there was no NBA last November. So I don't know where this all five sports.
Well, hey, I'm going by WagerTalk said since November 2020. Yeah. It's been a whole year. But, yeah, I didn't think – you're right, because it started Christmas, right before Christmas. So.
Yeah.
Fake news.
So there wasn't NBA, and I'm not convinced there was NHL either. So for the first time since 2019 – all five sports are going.
I said yesterday, Teddy, before you hopped on, I was like, this is the first time in recent history we've had all five major sports going. And then I saw that WagerTalk ad that said last year, but I think you're definitely right. There was no NBA. Yeah. We'll ask Dave. So it's a great November. Right. And by the way, I forgot to mention, sorry to cut you off, half price the entire week to celebrate. That's kind of a big deal. The $2 Tuesday is a 94% discount on Dave's 5% best bet, but half price for every play-in package for every capper is pretty good as well. WagerTalk.com. Teddy, I learned that last night. What else did you learn?
Sure, let's talk about it. Because something stood out to me last night we got to talk about right now. And that is this. The NFC is way better than the AFC right now. Look, the top teams in the NFC. Tampa, best team in the league. Rams, legit Super Bowl contender. Dallas, legit Super Bowl contender. Arizona, legit Super Bowl contender. Green Bay, all really good, all legit contenders for the Super Bowl. Let me shine the spotlight on the AFC. You got the Bills. Let's see. The last time we saw the Ravens, they got blown out at home. And then Cincy, they had the best record in the conference last week, and they just lost to the Jets. The Chiefs showed us again last night that they are not elite this year. Titans just lost their best player. The Colts are 3-5. The Chargers cannot get out of their own way. The Browns have cluster injuries everywhere. The Steelers, the Raiders, come on. Super Bowl? No. The AFC, your favorite is Buffalo, and they're big favorites. Your sleeper? Maybe you look at New England. If there's a team I'm looking to buy futures on right now in the AFC, it'd be the New England Patriots. Everybody else in that conference is flawed. And when the conference as a whole is flawed, when your favorites are flawed, you start looking at long shots. So Buffalo, New England, the only two AFC teams I'd be interested in futures on right now. The NFC, obviously, absolutely loaded, way better than the AFC. And that might be something you pay attention to if you're looking for advanced Super Bowl lines here in November. And get the best of the number with those as well, considering that any one of those 5 NFC teams would likely to be favored over anybody from the AFC. And if it was one of the long shots from the AFC, it might be significant favorites. So there you have it. There's what I learned last night. The NFC, way better than the AFC. What about you, Mr. Merrill?
Yeah, I was going to say, Teddy, would you take a look at an advanced AFC, NFC Super Bowl line? I'm trying to pull it up here, but I believe it's usually around maybe AFC 2, 2.5. Last I saw a few weeks ago, at least.
That's a bad number, and it's not going to be there for long.
Yeah, is that what you're still seeing though? Because I haven't checked it in a couple weeks. I think it was.
I haven't looked for it in the last 24 hours, but if AFC can't be favored, and if they are, they won't be tomorrow.
Even though you think the best team in the league, but you would say Buffalo's the best team in the league, not just the AFC right now? Or do you
Tampa's
still think
the best team in the league.
Okay, so you still think Tampa's considered the best team in the league, and then you got all the other power in the NFC as well, so I got you.
The point is there's 5 elite teams in the NFC and 1 elite team in the AFC. If the elites meet the elites in the Super Bowl, your advanced line isn't going to matter that much. If one of the other 6 teams that makes the playoffs in the AFC gets past Buffalo and faces one of the 5 quality teams from the NFC, this line is likely to be higher than any current Super Bowl advanced line would indicate.
Yeah, and just to close out, obviously a lot of it has to do with the Chiefs stumbling since the middle of last season when they went on that point spread slide, and we saw it again, of course, last night. They were the number 1 point spread team in the league for almost a 4-year run. Basically, when Mahomes came on board, they covered over 60% of the time. Over the last 19 games, they're now 4-15 against the spread, which is dead last. So they went from number 1 to dead last, like boom, middle of the season last year. It shows how quickly teams can reverse and how long it takes the odds makers. We talked about Clemson yesterday here on the show. The Chiefs are kind of the Clemson of the NFL right now as far as point spreads go. Former champ that they just cannot adjust for. Speaking of champs, we might have one decided tonight, guys, in Game 6 of the World Series. Let's find out. Let's talk to Dave Cokin. And by the way, we're going to look at this game, but we'll be more in-depth here in about an hour and a half as Dave and myself will both be on MLB First Pitch around 1:45, 1:50 Eastern time today. Dave, could be the last game, but if the Astros pull it off as they did in Game 5, we will have a Game 7 tomorrow night on Wednesday. I'll get right to it. Do the Astros make a Game 7 out of this, Dave?
I think there's a pretty good chance they will. I had the Astros in Game 5 and texted a friend of mine in the first inning and said, well, so much for that bet, because they were down 4-0. But they came back and won, and so they're kind of on a free roll right now. And Max Fried, who was absolutely great after the All-Star break, arguably as good as anybody in baseball after the All-Star break, he has lost his location in his last few postseason appearances. He's leaving pitchers up in the zone. This is a bad ballpark to do that against a team that kills lefties. I think the Astros have a real good chance to force a Game 7. Garcia was solid last time out. He's only had the one really bad start in the playoffs. And Houston's on a free roll of sorts right now. They got blown out in the first inning on Sunday, and they're still playing. So I just came back and made the same bet I made on Sunday, which is, again, taking the Astros on the money line tonight.
So I want to ask you, Dave, you talk about the starting pitching matchups here, and we've seen, throughout the course of the postseason, if a starting pitcher doesn't have it, they get pulled in the second inning, and the managers don't think twice about it. At this stage of the postseason, this is my question. Are the bullpens fatigued from all the use that they've had, or are they fresh because they had a day off yesterday?
No, they're not. The fatigue will show up after it's over. These guys want to pitch every day right now out of the bullpen. If the game's on the line, they're going to pitch. Might show up next spring. It's something to bear in mind for relief pitchers with real heavy workloads this postseason, as they might struggle next year and could develop arm problems. But the adrenaline's going to get them through. You're not seeing any velocity drop off from these relief pitchers. They're out there firing. This is what they want. So, no, the use is not even a consideration for me.
It's Dave Cokin, WagerTalk.com. And once again, Dave and I will go in depth here in about an hour and a half on this Game 6 of the World Series with Drew Martin on MLB First Pitch right here on Wager Talk TV. If you're watching the replay here of Wager Talk today, you didn't miss it because the MLB show, of course, is archived 24/7 as well right here on this channel. And guys, before we transition to college football, one offshore right now, Teddy has the Super Bowl Pick'em 55. I'm looking at FanDuel. They've got NFC minus 136, AFC plus 112. So you actually could middle those two lines if you wanted to tie your money up for 4 months and get a 2-cent cross bet there. But yeah, the NFC probably a slight favorite as we talked. And minus 136 would probably be a 1 or 2 point spread. So either way, it's under a field goal. I believe it was AFC a few months ago. Now it's, likely NFC. Dave, I'll throw it to you, though. Let's talk a little college football, a little MAC style here. And let's start off with Miami of Ohio, a 7-point favorite against Ohio U. How are you attacking this one?
Well, this one won't make my card, but it does give you a little bit of a glimpse into some of the things that I do each week in college football. And you got a game here that power rates right around the number. So, in fact, you can make a case that power ratings Ohio might be getting, might be a little bit of a bargain at +7. But the matchup is what it's all about. When you get into this time of the season, you can really look at stat profiles of teams and determine where they're strong, where they're not so strong. And when you get strength versus weakness, you go with that. And in this game, you've got a Miami team that has been exceptional against the run in conference play. They're allowing 67 yards per game in MAC play so far this year. Throughout the non-conference games, because, they don't really matter. There's enough conference games in. They've played 4 conference games so that you can get a good hold on what they do. 67 yards per game on the ground defensively. And Ohio University has to run the football to be successful. They've got Rourke and former UNLV quarterback Armani Rogers. Neither one of them is going to do much throwing the ball. They're both run option quarterbacks, and the run is an important option. So Miami has the ability to take that away from Ohio University. And if Ohio University can't run, I don't know where the Bobcats are going to get their points from. So I look at this as a strength on Miami being the defense against the run, taking away the strength of the Bobcats. That puts me on the Miami side as the more likely one to get the money in this game.
So when it comes to laying a touchdown on the road in these MACtion games, have you seen anything with these games that says you want road favorites against the home teams that can't score? Any prevailing trends that you look for these midweek Mid-American Conference contests?
No knowledge of trends whatsoever. Don't follow them. Don't care about them. I match up each game. I know some people love trends. I don't. I think most trends, such and such is 80% over the last 5 years. Okay, what were they 5 years before that? Regression to the norm is what keeps me away from trends because they inevitably do regress to the norm. So, unless you know when that's going to happen. And again, some people have great success with them. I've never been able to figure them out. So I'll stick with what works for me, which is matchups.
Yeah, and once again, to differentiate between what trends and systems, we have Ralph Michaels on with the database stuff. Those aren't trends. Dave's talking about, Miami of Ohio is 5-1 their last 6 Tuesday night games. Well, first of all, probably none of the same players are on the roster anymore. It might even be a different head coach for both teams, so trends are usually not only are trends pretty irrelevant, but they're also small sample sizes, like 5 or 10 games. They just are complete random noise. What I'd like to look at, I know Ralph does, and you guys do as well, is, league-wide systems that apply to all different types of teams, situational systems, a team off a double-digit loss as a double-digit favor, just general stuff and then, of course, the bottom line is it has to make sense. It's like Miami of Ohio is 5-1 on Tuesday nights wearing red jerseys. That doesn't make sense. So it's little things like that. So just for the new viewers out there, that's the difference between a trend, which I think we all agree really aren't that useful, versus maybe a technical system league-wide for many, many years.
I don't even call them systems. They're not systems to me. They're more angles. And you can definitely use those to, and I won't get into what it is because I know about it. One other person knows about it. As far as I know, nobody else knows about it. And I'm not publishing it or talking about it, but I have an angle, a multi-layered angle in the NHL, and it wins. It wins year after year after year, and it's 6-1 so far this year. So when teams fall into that, none of them do tonight, actually. But, that's an angle. It has nothing to do with it. It's not a trend at all. So, Yeah, there's a huge difference. By the way, I wanted to quickly note, NHL also didn't start until January of last year. I think it started on my birthday, if I'm not mistaken, like January 13th. So there were not all major sports going in November of 2020.
Yeah, and speaking of NHL, Dave, you've got a big one going tonight, 5%, right? 5% best
No,
bet
no,
for
no,
the
no,
NHL.
no, not a 5%. No.
Oh, it's not
I've had,
bad. Okay.
No, it's a 4%. NHL 5% plays, I basically never have them. Okay. I just, 5% plays is supposed to be something that really sticks out to me. And nothing in hockey basically ever sticks out. It almost never does in the daily sports, unless there's some really unusual information that applies to the game. So, no, it's a good bet, but I don't put that 5 out there because people go nuts on 5% plays. And so I think I had one last year in the NHL. And, if I have one again this year, I'll let you know. But no, it's not a 5% play.
Well, what you do works, though, because you're number one all-time in NHL profits at WagerTalk.com and 10-3 this season. So whether it's a 4 or 5, folks, he's been winning. And $2 Tuesday, right? That's a mere 94% discount off a big play. But these are all basically big plays for Dave. They're 4% strong best bets in the NHL, 10-3 this season, number one all-time. So once again, no hockey talk today. So if you want that hockey best bet, it's just $2 for Dave Cokin at WagerTalk.com. Once again, folks, that Miami-Ohio game is at 7:30 Eastern tonight. I forgot to mention it's a Tuesday night MAC game. There's 3 of them tonight. That Miami of Ohio -7 over Ohio that Dave recommended is at 7:30 Eastern tonight. Now we're going to get to a play you do like this weekend, Dave. Yeah. It's an actual 3% play, I believe. And it's this Saturday at noon Eastern. UAB laying a little less than 2 touchdowns, 13.5 against La Tech. Should we grab that 13.5 now with the favorite, or do you want to wait for it to hit 14?
Oh, I like the favorite in the game. And I played this matchup last year and lost it. I had UAB against Louisiana Tech and and I thought they were going to kill him. And watched the game, and it was like, what in the world is going on here? UAB might have made more mistakes in that game last year than they made in all the rest of their games combined. It was just a train wreck. Fumbles, bad penalties. They missed 3 field goals. They gave up like an 85-yard pick 6. They ended up losing the game in double overtime. And they were clearly the better team. They blew a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter in that game. I think UAB, this one is meaningful revenge from that standpoint. UAB's had 2 weeks to prep off a bad game against Rice. And so I would think they'll be sharp here. Louisiana Tech, look, this team played some good football early in the season and could have had 3 wins, but they lost all those games, and it looks to me like they've kind of lost their focus. They were not good over the weekend and losing to Old Dominion, which was not a very good football team. So I think Louisiana Tech might be having some focus issues. I think UAB has scheduling dynamics on their side here. They also are very good against the run. Again, we go to the conference play, and conference play 164 yards per game on the ground, 97 being allowed. And Louisiana Tech on the other side averaging 73 and allowing 180. So you've got massive gaps there. This then qualifies as a big strength versus weakness. UAB ground game offensively and defensively against Louisiana Tech ground game offensively and defensively. Unless UAB goes out and repeats what they did in terms of blunders against Rice 2 weeks ago and against Louisiana Tech last year. It's a game UAB should win comfortably against the Louisiana Tech team that is showing signs of tossing in the towel.
So this is a Blazers team, Dave, that really lacks offensive explosiveness. Their defense has been solid. This is not a team that scores easily. Does that concern you when you're laying close to 2 touchdowns, being that the difference maker for UAB is going to have to be on the defensive side of the football? They're not the type of offense that's going to march up and down the field all day.
Well, they might, though, in this game, because they do run the ball. They don't want to throw it. If you can get them in 3rd and long, you're going to get them off the field because they don't pass well at all. But they can run, and the other team can't stop the run. So I think UAB's got a game plan that says, okay, we're going to go out there and we're going to pound it down your throats, and they should have some success. And the flip side of it is Louisiana Tech is really not getting any offense from anything right now. They don't run or throw it well. So it's a game where I don't think Louisiana Tech's going to score many points. And, UAB, if UAB gets to 30, they're going to cover this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking about that loss to Old Dominion, obviously a team I follow closely here in the Virginia area, and they have not been good. They didn't play football at all last year, and
Right.
La Tech actually had a 2-0 turnover edge in that game and still lost it on the
Yeah.
road. So not a good
Yeah, it was
sign.
a,
It's hard to see them. Yeah, I
I
was
was
going to
going to say
say
it was a game.
also. Well, no, go
It
ahead.
was a game. It was a game going in. I didn't play it, but it was like, boy, this looks like it might be a spot where La Tech kind of mails it in. This season has not gone well for them with all those close losses, and they were games they should have won. And it did happen, which to me that's kind of it's not an auto fade, but it's in that category. They're in that category now where you want to look and see if you've got spots to play against them. You don't want to be on Louisiana Tech right now.
Right, exactly. And like you said, it's not an auto fade, but what you do is you circle those teams every week and see who their opponent is and see if you can make a case for the other side. And by the way, UAB opened 13. It's 13 and a half now, but there's a lot of places that have 13 and a half juiced higher. There's even a 14 out there. So I would not wait until Saturday to play this. Once again, Dave actually likes UAB minus 13 and a half as an actual 3% play. He's giving it to you free right here on the show today. Dave, once again, on the way out, let us know about your hockey, number one all-time at WagerTalk.com. 10-3 this year, and you've got a big 4% best bet going for $2 Tuesday. What else you got on tap at WagerTalk.com?
Let's see. I've got a play on tomorrow night's MAC game. I've got the UAB game up for Saturday. I haven't put anything else up yet, but I'm going to add some college football today. And the NHL again. I mean, it's been a real good game for me over the years. I grew up with hockey, so I've been around it my entire life. Grew up 2 blocks from the arena where the Providence Reds played their American Hockey League games, and I practically lived in that old building. So you could say it's the sport I go the furthest back with. Couldn't play it at all. I was terrible, but I understand the game. And 9-1 in the last 10 this season. 10-3 overall, number one all time in profits at Wager Talk on the NHL. So I think I got a good side tonight. Go grab it for $2.
Yeah, once again, if you want to try hockey, tonight's the night to do it. You got a number one all-time capper at WagerTalk.com, and you're getting this play over 90% off for $2 Tuesday. Dave Cokin, WagerTalk.com. Thank you, Dave. I'll talk to you about an hour on MLB First Pitch right here on Wager Talk TV. Teddy, once again, $2 Tuesday at Wager Talk for Dave. And don't forget, SportsMemo.com has it as well. R&R Totals has, surprisingly, an NFL Totals best bet. They went a perfect 3-0 this past Sunday. They've been red hot in NFL totals. They specialize in totals. You know, Dave's one of the few that specializes in hockey totals. This is how you diversify your portfolio. Dave Cokin, WagerTalk.com, R&R Totals, an advanced NFL best bet for $2 at SportsMemo.com. And when we get back in 20 seconds, we're going to talk a little NBA for the first time on the show today. We got Bucks and Pistons, big game breakdown in 20 seconds.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk a little NBA for Tuesday night. The Bucks and the Pistons. Right now, looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, I'm seeing mostly -4s for Milwaukee. Total, let's call it 211. There are 4.5s popping up. The line certainly moving in that direction. And the total looks like it's on the way down. The 211s, there are plenty of 210.5s out there as we speak. Let me start with the Pistons side of the equation. All right, Detroit, look, they're going to be bottom feeders this year. Bad NBA teams, where do you back them? Generally at home. And the Pistons have played only 2 home games this season. They almost beat the Bulls on opening night, and I had Chicago, and it was a wrong side winner. All right, Detroit played well in that ball game. Their other home game, they beat the Magic and covered as favorites. Okay, they've been blown out in every road game, even their cover at Philly. Was a fourth quarter rally, not a wire-to-wire job. And this team isn't going to win 10 road games this year. But Detroit, like so many young teams, is a team we can back at home. So there's the case for the Pistons. What about the Bucks right now? This is a Bucks team that's sitting in 10th place in the Eastern Conference. They're 3-4. They've lost 3 straight at home, including 2 against non-playoff teams. Why? There's nobody healthy out there. Giannis has a bad knee, and he's the one who's playing. Chris Middleton's not going to go tonight. Drew Holiday's not going to go tonight. Dante Vincenzo's out long term. Brooke Lopez isn't going tonight, and that's a team missing 4 of their 5 best players. And yes, they won a title last year. They're going to win a title in November? No. Is there urgency right now? No. You read the quotes? Pat Connaughton. We had a lot of different combinations, and we got a little decent amount of new guys this year. So how do we find that chemistry? How do we find that continuity? How do we find ways to get into rhythm? I think for us, we're still in the learning process. Feels similar to last year. We struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season because the continuity doesn't happen overnight. All right. Everybody's talking about Brooke being out, Giannis. For sure, I need Brooke to get back. Book, I don't know, maybe you're listening. Please come back. We need you to rebound the ball. This is not a good Bucks team right now. All right. And most notably, the rotations are off. The chemistry isn't there. This is a team, is a great 3-point shooting team. Not this year. They're not 8th in the league in attempts, 22nd in percentage. Not hungry, not playing well, not healthy. Give me the Pistons, plus the points. And again, no rush, +4s or +4.5s popping right now. Who knows how high it'll get before tip-off. Pistons are the play, your ugly home dog in the NBA for Tuesday. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
Can't get my thing unmuted quickly. I got too many things open here, Teddy. I was like buttons and stuff. Anyway, I was trying to get a poll up right now on Wager Talk, for Wager Talk, but I'm going to put it on my Twitter feed. Since it's election day, I wanted something we could vote on. I'm going to put, what is the most profitable sport for you to bet this winter? NFL, college football, NBA, or college basketball? I'm going to pop that up here in about 30 seconds. So anybody watching now, listening, or watching later in the day, go to @SteveMerrill, 2Rs1L, @SteveMerrill on Twitter. And let me know your thoughts. Teddy, real quick, which one would you vote for? Your most profitable sport? If you could only bet one sport for the rest of this year, which one would you? I mean, I'd say college hoops just because of the volume, and also did very well in it. But what would you say, Teddy?
I have no idea, but we have 18 minutes left of the show and 2 more guests.
Oh, my goodness. I've been here 6 days, and I couldn't get a Prez moment in until now. I was trying to explain why I was muted because I was typing, and my mouse didn't work. All right, Teddy Covers. You can find him at Teddy Covers on Twitter and also in the surly corner of the bar late at night.
On Twitter.
There we go. See, second moment. There we go. Adam Trigger, let's bring you on, college basketball expert and Wager Talk News contributor. And Adam, just a moment ago, as we're about to bring you, I see the Missouri Valley preview pops on Wager Talk News. And, of course, you've got several others up there. We did Pac-12 last week. Let's do Big 12 and Big 10. Let's start with the Big 12. Give us a quick overview, but more importantly, give us an actionable play-on team that's going to make you money this year in the Big 12.
Definitely, Steve. Listen, to answer your poll question, it's definitely college basketball. There's 350 Division I. There's 350.
Thank you so much.
350 Division I teams. The books can't possibly keep track of all of them. I put all the small conferences up at Wager Talk News, but we're going to focus on the big ones today. So Big 12, you've got Kansas, Texas, Baylor are probably your teams at the top, the teams to beat. Again, we're looking for ways to cash tickets, teams that are going to be undervalued, which could present a good bet on. And the one I have in the Big 12 that I think is going to be the best team for this year is Oklahoma State. Now, Oklahoma State loses the number 1 NBA draft pick, Cade Cunningham, but I'm not really looking at this as a big loss for the Cowboys. The reason being, I think they're actually a better team without him. Because everyone there is essentially back. They've had another year to grow. And I felt like at times Cunningham last year played far more as an individual than really utilizing the pieces he had around him. So you have a Memphis transfer that comes in. He's a big guy. His last name's Cisse, and he goes in there with Caleb Boone and Moncrief to create a really athletic front court. And you have a bunch of guards that can shoot. I think there's going to be a big overreaction to Cunningham not being there, when in reality, they very well could be a better team without him. They played 3 games without him last year. They went 2-1. They beat West Virginia, and they took Baylor to the wire. So there is some precedence for this group playing well without him. I think no one's talking about Oklahoma State. Obviously, I just mentioned the Big 3. I hear a lot of West Virginia so far. No one's talking about Oklahoma State. Stillwater's a tough place to play. Gallagher-Iba Arena is a huge home court advantage. I think Oklahoma State's the sleeper, and I think they're going to be undervalued against the number. You're going to be able to cash a bunch of tickets with the Cowboys this year.
I love it. That one makes a ton of sense to me. You have the superstar who graduates, and the betting markets devalue that team. Oftentimes, those teams offer value. And again, just like last week, when Adam Trigger's talking, I'm writing them down. Last week, by the way, he gave us Washington State as bet on, UCLA as bet against. This week, we're talking Okie State bet on, and you have one from the Big Ten for us as well. Tell me what we're going to do in terms of a bet on and or bet against team from my home conference as a Michigan alumni, the Big Ten.
Yeah, Teddy. Well, first I'll mention Big Ten, extremely deep this year. There's like 5, maybe 6 teams at the top that have a legitimate chance of winning it. So I'm going way down into the bottom of the Big Ten for my bet on team, which I think is going to be a monster against the number, and that's the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now, you're not going to find Penn State in any preview that's a contender. They're probably not, to be honest, because there's just so many elite teams in this conference. But we're talking about cashing tickets against the number, and I think Penn State might be the most undervalued team in the conference. Last year, they lost their coach a couple weeks before the season. He had to step down. So they went into the season with no coach, and they actually played pretty good ball. They ended up 7-12 in the Big Ten. They beat Virginia Tech. They beat Maryland twice. They beat Wisconsin. And they were, I think, far more competitive than anyone expected them to be. Now, they bring 4 guys back. They have 3 returning starters, all upperclassmen. There's 6-man as a senior, so another upperclassman. But I'm most excited about the 3 transfers they bring in, which I think could all have an impact and are going to make them far better than anyone expects them to be. First, I'll mention they have a new head coach. So last year they had an interim coach. They bring a guy in named Micah Shrewsbury, who was Brad Stevens' assistant for years, most recently at Purdue. First head coaching job, so no one's really giving him much of a chance. But anyone that coaches with Brad Stevens, in my opinion, is probably a good coach. So I have to like him. But Penn State's biggest transfer, Jalen Pickett from my alma mater, Siena. I've watched this kid every game he's played for the past 3 years. 2020, he won the Player of the Year in the MAC conference. And last year, I know for a fact that he just wasn't into it. He was just, his mind was elsewhere. He was battling a hamstring injury, and he had just a down year. And Siena last year had as much of a COVID issue as any team in the country. There was one point in the year where the kids could not leave their dorm rooms for 30 days, and the only thing they had to do was stretching, because that's how bad the COVID shutdown was at Siena. I can't imagine anyone would want to play under that scenario, especially Pickett, who, again, I just don't think he was very interested last year. And I said when he got to Siena, this kid belongs at a major school. He's way too good for the MAC, and I think that's the case. You're going to slide him into the point guard position. They bring in a kid from Gardner-Webb that can just stroke it. He can score. And then Greg Lee comes in for Western Michigan, who gives them another guy in the front court. Now, the issue with Penn State's going to be depth outside of the 6 or 7 guys. I don't know that they have many other legitimate players. But if Penn State can stay healthy, that 6 or 7 is going to be much better than they're getting credit for. I think I see him in a lot of season previews, 11th, 10th, 12th. So I think if that 7 stays healthy, they could be more of a middle of the pack team. So look out for the Nittany Lions. I think they're going to be a lot better than people expect.
And look out for Adam Trigger at WagerTalk News, as he's got a ton of college basketball info. As I mentioned, the Missouri Valley preview just popped about 15 minutes ago, fresh off the press. We gave you here Oklahoma State for the Big 12, Penn State for the Big 10 as play-on teams. Last week, he gave you Washington State, Pac-12 style. Adam, what else do you have going this week at WagerTalk.com? Of course, everything you post for the rest of the week will be half price, 50% discount. And, of course, 1 week from today, college basketball starts full throttle. Adam Trigger, WagerTalk.com. What else you got going on?
Yeah, so again, like you said, half off everything this week. I'll have a bunch of football that I'll start to post today for the weekend. But right now on my page, you can get my first week of college basketball. It's up at a discount for just $39. I'm going to come out firing right on Tuesday, 1 week from today. I'll have a bunch, and I'll have plays all week. I'll probably have a 5% play in there, at least one of them. So, $39 for the whole first week of hoops. And there's big games right off the rip. I think even that up into that first weekend, you've got like Texas Gonzaga that Saturday. There's a bunch of huge games all week. So, pop over, get my first week of college hoops because we're going to have a bunch of plays and I think we'll make money.
And once again, that's WagerTalk.com, Adam Trigger, college basketball. By the way, folks, if you want the WagerTalk news previews for all these conferences, you go to the homepage, WagerTalk.com, look up at the top of the screen. You'll see a WagerTalk news. Just click on it, or you can get there instantly. WagerTalk.com/news gets you there as well. Speaking of news, we've got Dave Sharapan with us from the Las Vegas Strip. And Dave, I'll bring you in, and just to piss Teddy off more, I'm going to reiterate. I have a Twitter poll right now. What is the most profitable sport for you? And I put the four current ones. Teddy couldn't take 10 seconds to answer it real quick because we're too busy today. So I'll throw it. No, you can't answer. Your time's up. You can vote in the poll. So Dave, I'll throw it to you. Which one of the books fear the most? For me, it's college basketball is the most profitable. Adam said that it's a volume thing. I think the lines are softest. Is that the one college? I kind of know the answer. Is that the one books struggle with the most? Would they fear the most of those four?
Listen, first of all, it's great to be here to see both of you and not see Prez. But Prez isn't here, so we don't need to bring the drama. Every week when Prez is here, Teddy and Prez have the drama. So now you have taken the place literally of Prez and brought the drama, which we do every week.
Tuesday.
100%. Yeah, it's not Flex Tuesday when you're here. It's Drama Tuesday. We'll go with that. It's college basketball, Merrill. 2 R's, 1 L. I love that. I'm going to start saying that. It's absolutely college basketball. Trigger just said it. There's too many teams. There's too many numbers. There's too many totals. There ain't enough guys to watch it. There ain't enough guys to do power ratings. These guys that do the power ratings for college basketball are all getting old. They're still doing it on paper. They need to use Ralph Michael sheets. Ralph got these great sheets for football. I hope he does them for basketball because I use them all the time, to just keep track of stuff because I still like to write stuff down. They got enough going on with devices and files and all this other stuff. Sometimes I just want it on a piece of paper. So 100%, it's college basketball. You can put the poll up. I would make college basketball minus 800 to be the favorite to win that poll. If it doesn't, I'll be surprised. But if you tell me that you're betting NBA, especially right now, and winning, you're out of your mind. I don't believe you.
I'm betting NBA right now, and I'm winning. And if I had to answer the poll question, so college hoops is certainly the sport where if you put in the time in October and early November, you're supposed to beat it.
Yes.
The question is, Adam Trigger's got the time. I don't have the time. I don't even start with college hoops until after the college football season ends because you're working 3 other sports, and I cannot pick up a 4th sport when I'm working 3. I just can't do it effectively. I found that everything, when I pick up that extra sport, I start to lose at everything. Am I unique in that, Dave? Or do you see people right now, the ones who win the most in your experience, are they isolating on 1 or 2 sports? Or are they comfortable betting college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL? The best bettors, are they specializing? Are they generalizing? Give me your take.
100% they're specializing. It's not even close. The best guys are focused on usually one sport, and they dabble in others. Or what they do, Teddy, is they float you some plays, on other sports that are losers, or break even things. They'll just try to break even and bet in NFL because we all know that that's probably the hardest market to win. So they play NFL games, sides, totals here and there, throw you a first half play, but they're killing you in college basketball. Or, the guys with the golf, like the golf matchups, they annihilate you in the golf matchups because there's 3 guys on planet Earth that I used to say that are good at this. And when they're betting you, you better need their side or you're going to lose. So college basketball betting, the numbers are so soft in November and December. I was just at the South Point yesterday, and I sat a little bit with Chris Andrews, Roxy Roxborough, Vinny Maullo, and Jimmy Vaccaro. And we were talking, and I said, which one of you's got to do to college basketball? And they all went like this, looked around. Nobody even wanted to touch it. They're like, yeah, we're calling Richie to help us with it because the beginning is so hard. And now the books, because there's books everywhere, are booking all the games. So you have the added games have become I forget what they're called now on the odds screen, but now you have extra games. That's it. Thank you, Merrill. 2 R's, 1 L. You got to book those games too. It's impossible. So I think you're thinking right. And, based on actually seeing you in person last week, you look a lot better than you did the last time I saw you. Thank goodness. What your skills of getting that in that cup was amazing. I don't think you got to worry about putting a ball in a basket for at least until I always used to say in the book, we're trying to break even until conference play starts on New Year's Day. Just leave us alone. Let us book these games and just try to break even or lose a little. So hopefully they give it back on the NBA, the NHL, and the NFL playoffs.
Yeah, let's see if we can get some.
Well, I was going to say real quick, close out. I was going to say one great indicator is just the limits. What is it? 1,000, 5,000 on a college basketball game, 50,000 on an NFL game. That tells you a lot right there what the books do and don't want action on.
Oh, without a doubt. The limits are so low. College basketball totals is 500. And that's if you have a generous book. Sometimes it's 300. And, you have to get better. And sides are 2 dimes max. Like if you find a book that's taken more than 3 dimes or 2 dimes in college basketball, you shouldn't tell anybody because it ain't going to be long before they cut those limits. Take it while you can because it's not going to last. It's very hard to beat.
Sure, and you see on Twitter now with this person bet $500,000 on this NFL game, that person bet $250,000 on that NFL game. You don't see that in college basketball, and the limits will flat out tell you where the books are most confident and where they're least confident. The fact that the college hoops limits are the shortest of any major sport tells you all you need to know. Mr. Sherpin, first, I don't even recognize the cap. What team is that?
That's an LA Rams. It's that goofy emblem, but it's the sideline LA Rams hat. Yeah.
That's cool.
We had to wear that because that's the move, right? Like they made the move. They went and got Von Miller. I mean, that's only going to strengthen them and their futures. I was talking about it yesterday on a show, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll wear this on a couple shows this week because we've got to talk about it. What moves in the NFL trade deadline actually move the numbers? There's none. It never happens. There's never a trade usually that moves the numbers, but this one I think could. I think this solidifies the Rams as having maybe the best defense in the league now, and they're 1 game back of the Cardinals. Well, actually, no, now they're tied, right? I think they're tied, but they lost to them head-to-head. So they can win the division. They can still get the number 1 seed. It's right there for them for the taking. And if I was in the room, I'd say, all right, if we got them 8-1, why don't we take those down to 6-1 and offer some higher futures on some other NFC teams? Because I think this really sets them up to make a run, barring any injuries, which we also know is NFL news.
Well, I mean, at the top of the show, and I want to talk about actionable info for today, but I have to lead into this because we talked about it at the top of the show. Right now, the Super Bowl line, pick 'em, NFC -1. And I went through at the top. I'm like, there's 5 elite teams in the NFC and 1 good team in the AFC, with Kansas City clearly showing they're not what they were. Is there any liability here for the books? Do we expect to move towards the NFC in some of these future book type of stuff, or is that just one of the things that what you see in late October, early November is not necessarily the reality of what you're going to be seeing in December and January?
So for years, I used to sit in the book and we put this up and took bets, and anyone that with any bit of a sharp mind or bankroll would just take the plus. They would always take the plus. So you didn't see this thing move too much one way or the other because you were just giving someone like a scalp opportunity where they were just taking whatever side was +2. They would take on the money line or they would take the points. And then the next week somebody would get hurt and you'd have to make it pick. And then they would lay pick and so they're creating a middle for 4 months on the game. And, I had a guy one year who parlayed every day, whatever he parlayed, he would parlay with NFC or AFC. And the guy was betting $10 parlays. By the time it got to the Super Bowl, he had a middle where he was picking up 26,000 or 40,000, depending on who won the game. It was incredible. We were like, what is this guy doing? And I watched it and it was amazing. So I don't think you see the movement that may reflect the actual power ratings or what is happening. I think there's a reluctance from the book standpoint to get too far away to a number like 3, where they're going to come in and play that, and now all of a sudden you're walking into the Super Bowl with a team that was, +3 in October or November, and they're favored by 3, and now you gave a guy a middle that you don't really want to even get involved in.
It's Dave Sharapan from the Las Vegas Strip, former odds maker, now media star. Does a little written work for Fox Sports, I've heard, on the side when he feels like typing. And MLB Network, also on MLB Network. And this is the last chance. This will definitely be the last chance you and I have to talk baseball, because it either ends tonight or tomorrow, Dave. I might see you this Friday on Sirius XM Channel 204 Sports Grid Radio and TV. Get on the grid. But until then, do we get a Game 7? I'm going to be on about an hour here on MLB First Pitch with Dave Cokin. We'll be breaking down Game 6. Do we have a Game 7 tomorrow, Dave?
So right after this, I'm going to go write my column that'll be on foxsports.com a little bit later today. And then on the MLB Network today, on the Bettor's Eye, they asked me to be on the show. And
awesome.
We're going to talk about the game. And I'm going to go on and say, after I write the column, I'm going to confirm it. But yes, I think Houston wins tonight. And I think we are going to have a Game 7. It's just one of those things that, you can throw out all the stuff that we saw in the regular season. It's one game. And how do you handicap one game? I'm not looking at WUBA. I'm not looking at RISPA, all these different things and metrics that everybody's using. It's very effective to use during the regular season. It's one game. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the Astros bats, the right-handed bats against a left-handed pitcher, and I think they're going to hit. They started to hit in Game 5. The game went over. I think tonight's game in Houston, the games in Houston played a lot closer to the total than the games in Atlanta, thanks to the weather and the pitching and the bullpens. I think we go back to an American League type game tonight. Over, I'm leaning for sure in Astros to win because, like you, Merrill, I want to see a Game 7. Game 7s are great in everything.
They are.
And I'm rooting for baseball, bro. And I'm rooting for the Astros tonight to get us to Game 7.
Dave, we got just a minute left with you. I want to ask anything else actionable for this evening. NBA, NHL, what are you seeing in terms of the sharp money for Tuesday or actionable info for Tuesday night?
Well, I was looking ahead to the NFL. I just saw the move on Green Bay came after Kansas City's debacle last night. Again, the look ahead line on that was 2.5. It's already flipped. Kansas City's the favorite. The Rams got a little bit of a play from the advanced number, on against Tennessee because of the Henry news. Tonight, man, there's some ridiculous prices in hockey. I think the sharp guys are going to be on Vegas against Toronto. And it's not a slight against Prez because he's not here. I'm not taking a shot at the Maple Leafs. But the team is overvalued in the market. And it's just one of those things that I think you could take a $1.50 in a game that's probably going to be low scoring, leading under. But Vegas, how about a trend that, probably somebody in the WagerTalk family knows? There's been a goal scored in the first 10 minutes of every Vegas game played this season. So you can bet that. The price has become a little bit ridiculous, but you can bet yes goal in the first 10 minutes of the Knights game tonight. So a little bit of actionable info for tonight. The NBA, I'm not even looking at tonight because I got nothing but baseball on my mind. I'm still coming out of Halloween and all the trick-or-treating and candy and all that other stuff. No drama tonight in the NBA for me. It's all about the baseball, bro.
There's always drama in the NBA. We had the Celtics last night. They blow a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Instead of a 13-3 start, I'm now 12-4 in the season. So, it could be worse. But, yeah, that was pretty rough. I think they actually set a record for having a 14-plus lead and then losing by 14 or more. I don't think it had ever happened in the modern era of the NBA.
Never. It has not. That was the first time. That's a good one. I actually have that tweet set up to go out a little bit later today. That is the first time that happened. It's good to know that, you were on it, Merrill, with 2 R's and 1 L. But listen, 12-4 is a good thing. It's not bad. You got to lose sometimes.
It is. Look, I'll take it every time. And Dave, really quick on the college basketball, starts 1 week from today. We started 17-4 last year in college hoops. So you know where I stand in that poll question. College basketball in early November, December is the sport to beat. But hey, Adam Trigger, as we're typing, as we're speaking, he just put up Conference USA preview on Wager Talk News. So we got Missouri Valley and Conference USA live since we just broke down the Big Ten and the Big 12 here. Dave, on the way out, once again, what time are you on MLB Network? Around 4 o'clock Eastern-ish, I think? 1
It's
o'clock Pacific?
The show is at 6 o'clock Eastern. That's 3 o'clock Pacific.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's on before the game. Better's Eye. My podcast is Cash Considerations. We do that every week. 8 in the Box, the college football one, and Sports BK and Sig on Twitter for all the other stuff. It's all right there. Thank you for having me. Send it home, Teddy.
I was just say, if they can't find Dave, they're not trying. He's all over, and he does a great job. Once again, MLB Network tonight, 6 Eastern. Watch him live. Game 6 World Series. Teddy, thank you for having me. I will actually see you again tomorrow in the guest role. The Prez will be back. I got you primed. I got you a little agitated to get the Prez tomorrow because you know he's coming in hot. So you better be ready. And I will see you all tomorrow here on Wager Talk Today. Teddy, take us home.
Sure, that's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition. I want to thank Dave Cokin, Adam Trigger, and Dave Sharapin for joining us. Of course, Steve Merrill for filling in for the Prez for the last 6 days. Really appreciate you, Steve. Genuinely. Somehow I enjoy the show more. All that being said, we'll be back again tomorrow. Prez and I will be battling. It'll be a whole lot of fun. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck.
And they're off. Large fields and huge pari-mutuel pools result in the best opportunity to profit betting horse racing on Breeders' Cup weekend. Wager Talk's own horse racing expert, Sig, will be joined by handicapper and horse racing contest expert Sean Alvarez as they preview the entire field for Breeders' Cup weekend in the 2021 Wager Talk Breeders' Cup preview and wagering guide. You will receive in-depth analysis of every horse in the 14-race field from our experts, as well as selections and betting strategies from both Sig and Sean, all 14 Breeders' Cup races on Friday and Saturday. For a limited time, if you pre-order the guide before midnight on October 31st, you can save $10 off the regular price and pay only $29.99 for expert selections and analysis for every Breeders' Cup race. Don't hesitate, grab your 2021 Wager Talk Breeders' Cup preview and wagering guide now at wt.buzz/sig.